Hello, everyone. Come on into the healing room. Come on in. Let's have a great conversation tonight. I am so excited to share with you what we're going to talk about tonight in the healing room. Get comfortable, grab a pen and paper if you need to, but we are about to get into a topic that is so commonly discussed in my practice. I work with survivors of narcissistic abuse, whether you're currently in the relationship or no longer in the relationship. This is for you. Every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Please join me. So good to see you tonight. Happy that you're here. The topic I have to share in the healing room tonight is going to be a reminder for some, but brand new information for many, because we've all been there or will be there if you're in a relationship with a narcissist. We would like to believe that therapy can help. I am a therapist. I've been a therapist for 22 years. And I, in my practice, work with individuals and couples in a narcissistic or toxic relationship. And so, what I'm bringing to you every Monday night live at 7 p.m. Eastern is a conversation, just a candid conversation. But these are questions that I hear all the time from my practice. I had the same question for myself. Welcome. Come on in. I had the same question for myself. Does therapy work? Drop a question mark in the chat if you are familiar with hoping that therapy can help your relationship with a narcissist. All right, let's get into the topic. So, what if the person who dragged you into therapy only did it to prove you are the problem? So, this is not healing. This is a trap. This is a trap. And as a therapist, I have to tell you, because I've also been on the other side. I was married to a narcissist for 30 years. And after being divorced for 4 years, I can tell you I tried everything. I tried talking. I tried pleading. I tried all those effective communication skills, the I statements, the being clear about my boundaries. These are things that, as a therapist, this is what we talk about in therapy, in couples therapy, and individual therapy. It's all about how you communicate. So thank you for the question marks. That means you are curious to know, why am I saying, as a therapist, that therapy does not work with a narcissist? So tonight I'm pulling back the curtain on what really happens when narcissists enter the therapy room, and why traditional couples counseling can actually hurt you. You being the victim, now survivor, because I know y'all don't like that word, being a victim. You're not a victim if you're here. You're not a victim if you understand, if you're learning, if you're gaining knowledge. Knowledge is the key. So, this knowledge I'm dropping on you tonight is about why therapy with a narcissist does not work. Okay, so number one, why do narcissists initiate therapy? If you have been in a relationship with a narcissist and they're the ones who are saying we need to do therapy, I want to tell you why. They love the optics of appearing like the reasonable one. They'll be in therapy saying, see what I have to deal with? Those are the exact words of my ex-narcissist. We actually attempted couples counseling, which was what I recommended as a last ditch attempt at healing our relationship before our divorce. And so, of course, as a therapist, I'm thinking this is going to help. And I didn't know that I was actually putting myself in harm's way. And I found out the hard way. So if you have been in therapy with a narcissist, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, Please listen up. I am sharing with you why therapy with a narcissist does not work. So, number one, they will initiate therapy only because they want to be appearing as the reasonable one. And in my experience, that is exactly what happened because I thought it was an opportunity for me to be heard, to be validated, um, to get help in mediating this conversation so that I could feel that I had some control over the situation. Okay. And, oh, good question. Why doesn't the therapist see through the narcissist? Oh, that's such a good question. That if you do go to therapy with your narcissist or even individual therapy, and you know you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you must quiz the therapist and ask them, are they familiar with narcissism? Are they familiar with narcissistic abuse? Because if they are, then they will look for the signs, and they're not always clearly visible. That's something that the therapist, number one, has to be educated and skilled in, but number two, it's not foolproof for all therapists. And I think one of the major differences is that the therapist, and let me speak for myself because all therapists are different. Myself, as a therapist with 22 years of experience, if I did not also have the experience of being married to a narcissist for 30 years, dated the narcissist for 5 years before we got married, and have 3 adult children now, if I didn't have this experience to fall back on, I don't know. And in fact, looking back on my career, I am sure I came across narcissists that I did not pick up on. I'm positive. So that is a thing where the therapist may not be aware and may miss the signs. So the other reason why a narcissist would initiate therapy is because it's a space for them to perform, not to grow. It's a space where they can prove how smart they are. They can prove how skilled they are at turning the tables and making it about the partner as opposed to themselves, taking the focus off of themselves. They're skilled at that, and it becomes a space for them to prove that they are better than even a trained professional. So it's an ego booster for the narcissist. All right. It's about control and not connection. So let's go to therapy so the therapist can fix you, is what they're saying. And when I tell you that's exactly what my experience was during the couples therapy session, my ex narcissist said to the therapist while I was trying so desperately to get my point across and to be heard, my ex says, "See what I'm dealing with? Do you see what I'm dealing with? I mean, look at her. She's crazy. I don't even know what she's talking about. And I can't even get a word in edgewise." I mean, and I couldn't stop because once it started flowing, it was flowing and I could not hold back. And it just proved to be completely um, a disaster. A disaster. All right, number two, what happens in the therapy room? Number one, narcissists dominate the narrative. They're charming, they're logical, and they're well rehearsed. They do this every day. It comes naturally to them. It's who they are. They're built for it. And so this is a challenge for them to do what they do best. Meanwhile, we're thinking it's a safe space, which a therapy room is supposed to be, a safe space. And it's where we're supposed to be vulnerable and express our feelings and share our challenges and frustrations. And so we're just letting it all out, but it's an opportunity for the narcissist to dominate the narrative. And unfortunately, I gave him every reason. He was able to prove in his way, because of my frantic need for validation, that I was the problem. And that ended up being the therapist's assessment of me. And thankfully, though, I will say, because this therapist was good enough to see that regardless of narcissist or not, this wasn't working. So I'm thankful for that. So what else happens in the therapy room? They invalidate their partner's feelings with phrases like, she's so emotional, or I'm doing all the work and look at what I have to deal with. Like, I mean, doc, she needs help. Next, they use the therapist as a proxy to reinforce their superiority. That is their entire goal, is to be superior even over the therapist, but at least to align with the therapist. So what their goal is to get the therapist on their side. So to actually reverse and become the victim, and their partner becomes the offender. If you're not familiar with Darvo, please stay in touch with me because I'm creating a Darvo masterclass and an entire program to help you spot Darvo. Okay. So the other thing that happens in the therapy room in couples therapy with a narcissist, the victim is left confused, doubting themselves, even in therapy, a place that should feel safe. So let me give you a real life example. The husband is the one who initiated therapy, but I realized that he did not want to change, and instead he wanted confirmation that his wife was the problem. Every time the partner, the wife, shared a need or pain about something, the husband, the narcissist that I suspect, deflected, dismissed, or minimized. His image as the provider was more important than the relationship. And the wife was treated like a dependent and not a partner. So this wasn't therapy. This was emotional warfare in a controlled environment. And I just say that with all sincerity, again, because that was my experience. So why therapy with a narcissist fails? Number one, therapy requires accountability. Narcissists avoid it at all costs. We see that in a relationship with a narcissist, they avoid accountability. They do that in therapy as well. Secondly, therapy requires empathy. Narcissists weaponize it or mimic it, but they don't embody it. So therapy also requires mutual vulnerability. Narcissists see vulnerability as weakness, not connection. You will not see a narcissist willingly become vulnerable unless they are mimicking it, unless they are weaponizing it. And that is also what I've seen in therapy is a narcissist will present as vulnerable. They will cry in therapy because they want to elicit my empathy for them, which takes the focus away from what their partner, the victim, is trying to express or what their needs are. So they become the victim. Lastly, the narcissist is there to win. Period. The narcissist wants to win, not grow. Our vulnerabilities are used against us with the narcissist. The same thing happens in the therapy room. Drop your hearts if this topic is resonating with you. I love your comments. What is the impact on you, the survivor, in therapy? If you participate in couples therapy with a narcissist, and listen, I'm not discouraging it. I am revealing the truth about it as a therapist. So absolutely, I recommend therapy for you as an individual. If you choose, which I did, because we all see it at some point as a last resort. If you choose to go into couples counseling with a narcissist, just be aware. That's it. Awareness is the key. Do not apologize for how you feel. Do not apologize for what you have experienced, because it's your truth and your reality. And that deserves attention. And so it's your job to get your needs met, not the narcissist, not the therapist. So you can challenge the therapist, challenge us, challenge me, ask me questions. Ask me a question about narcissism, about narcissistic abuse, about toxic relationships. Do I think your significant other is a narcissist? I will always say first, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm a licensed clinician. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I will tell you what I know from my own personal and professional experience. And then at the end of the day, the diagnosis does not matter. It doesn't matter if they're a narcissist by diagnosis or not. What matters is your experience. That's all you need to know. That's the only proof you need. Okay, so more impact on you in couples counseling with a narcissist. You often leave the session feeling worse. You may start to question your reality even more than you already were. You fear speaking up in therapy because the narcissist will retaliate later. That is huge. I absolutely know that in my practice in recent years. I have experienced a covert, vulnerable narcissist in my office, and I could tell that the partner was silenced, was not speaking up for herself. And the way that I knew this is because they would always look over at them after they said something, looking for approval, looking for acceptance, looking to make sure it was safe to say what they said. And of course, nonverbals are just as loud as verbal communication, which is the survivor or the victim of narcissistic abuse looking to avoid retaliation. So it's not a safe space. Therapy becomes another space where your voice is silenced. And not only in therapy, but afterwards. There's that comment there. They give you the silent treatment. If that's one of their manipulation tactics to regain control, for an empathetic person to be given the silent treatment, it means that we are disapproved of. Our behavior is unacceptable, and love, affection is being threatened to be taken away, which makes love in that relationship conditional. So these are consequences that we risk in couples counseling with a narcissist. So let me tell you what works instead. Number one, individual therapy for the survivor. We have to find the strength to learn how to protect ourselves in a relationship with a narcissist. And all of this can be done while you're in the relationship. So if you're just joining, drop peace in the DMs of any of my posts and you will get a recap, because we're almost done. But I'm so glad you're here. Keep dropping the hearts, keep dropping the likes. That's what gets us out there every Monday night at 7 p.m. I want everybody to know we're here, and you being here means so much to me. So thank you for that. I want to help you to protect yourself against a narcissist. And when we're trying to save our marriage, our relationship, of course, naturally, we seek help of an objective professional who can help to navigate, to mediate these conversations that we've tried and failed over and over again on our own. So we are reaching out for help. If the therapist is not familiar with narcissism or narcissistic abuse, it can be a setup for us. And oftentimes, even being aware, it still causes damage because the narcissist is still there for the sole purpose of proving that they are superior and proving that they are in control, even with a professional. So thank you for the comment. After one therapy session, my narcissist laughed in the car and said, "What a waste of time. You need to go to therapy by yourself and deal with your problems." Thank you so much for sharing that. They're willing to go to couples counseling simply to prove that we are the problem. Absolutely. And that causes damage. We leave second guessing ourselves, again, questioning our reality, fear of speaking up and standing up for ourselves, or just yet creating another argument. So it can be devastating. The next question is, why does the silent treatment bother us, the survivor? The silent treatment is a manipulation tactic used against us because it taps into our fear of abandonment, our fear of not being loved, our fear of not being approved of love being taken away. It is a tactic that holds us hostage emotionally because our goal is to make this relationship work. And as an empathetic person in a relationship with a narcissist, our goal is to please them. We are people pleasers. And oftentimes, and in my case specifically, we are submissive. And so we're not as likely to stand up for ourselves and not accept devaluing behavior or being discarded. But because of a trauma bond, and that was our topic last week. So please drop peace or recap in any post in the DMs, and I will send you the recap. The trauma bond is what keeps us holding on to hope that we will regain their love and affection, and also holding on to or clinging to that need for that dopamine fix. I talked about that last week. So please check out the recap from last week. So back to, and then we'll end, what actually works instead. Individual therapy is number one. Focus on yourself first. Learn how to prioritize yourself. Secondly, support groups. I run support groups every week. If you go to my website, thepassagetopeace.com, you will see the support groups that I offer. I'm also a licensed therapist with other platforms. And when I tell you that the most valuable thing that people express in my support groups is, "Oh my gosh, I'm not the only one. Oh my gosh, I'm not alone." That is what is the most important thing on this very lonely, traumatic healing journey, is to know you're not alone. So look out for support groups where other survivors are learning how to heal, because you do not have to do it alone. Okay, so also, as you all know, education. Knowledge is the key. Awareness is the key. The more you understand, as long as you follow the 50-50 rule, and that's what these first 2 points are. 50% is about you. The other 50% is about the narcissist. So DARVO, for example, DARVO stands for deny, attack, reverse, victim, offender. This is the tactic that they use to manipulate us. And it involves the gaslighting, and it's the trauma bonding, all of these things. The more we know, the more power you have to protect yourself. So my program, Passage to Peace, it centers around your healing. So let's talk real quick about some boundary phrases that you can use to protect yourself from this type of manipulation in the therapy room. Number one, you can say, "I'm not going to debate with you. This conversation is not up for debate," or "I'm not available for that conversation." You can remove yourself from a conversation. Now, let me tell you, my anger was, on a scale of 1 to 10, was about 599. So there was no removing myself from any conversation. I was like, "You're going to hear it all as loud as I can possibly say it." Even the therapist could not get a word in edgewise. But it just showed that I needed an outlet that did not involve him. He was triggering me the whole entire time. Every look he gave me, I knew what it meant. Um, Everything that I said, he countered it. It was just not effective. Protect yourself. Protect your peace. Protect your peace. You can say, I'm not responsible for how you feel about my feelings. Oh, I wish I would have said that. I'm not responsible for how you got to use the neck and all that because that just makes me feel better. I'm not responsible for how you feel and your feelings. It's just hard to say it calmly. I'm not a very calm person when I'm upset. You can also say, I'm not explaining myself again. I'm not going to say it again. This is why individual therapy first is so important. Is because they will trigger us. And it's hard, and I know it was hard for me, close to impossible, to refrain from engaging because I was too raw, I was too broken, I was too just destroyed by 30 years of learning how to fight and not get my needs met or feelings validated with a narcissist. So there's so many different things that you can say to protect your peace. Please drop peace. DM me and you will get a copy of the recap of tonight. So, affirmation I want you to say, I deserve healing that does not require me to shrink. I no longer perform for peace. Yay, that's me. I no longer perform for peace. Amen to that. That's a yay you moment. I say that to my clients all the time. Baby steps. And when you can identify something that makes you feel good, yay you. So, thank you everybody. If tonight's message hit home, please check out www.thepassagetopeace.com. And I am here for you on your healing journey. Take care, everyone. Hope to see you next Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. 7 p.m.-ish Eastern. But I appreciate your time so much. Thank you.